His Excellency Dr. Diko Umar Rakta. Welcome to the mandate, sir.
Thank you very much.
I kind of feel comfortable calling you Doc, of course, PhD. I mean, I'm not sure how to address you properly considering, I mean, your new status, but more importantly, because of what we've been hearing out there about you wanting to be referred to or not to be referred to as Your Excellency while in office, rather as just Mr. Governor or simply by your name, Dr. Rakta. Uh, you did also say that you would only accept being referred to as Your Excellency only after you've only after your people or your constituents, which means the generality of the people of Katsina State, established that your performance in government has been excellent. Is this not somewhat anti-establishment? Are you hinting that under your leadership, emphasis will be just on the people only and not the elite?
Thank you very much. I think the people voted for me, and they came out in mass to vote for us, and they voted for us, and we thank God they did that. So I think what is our focus should be the people. And the elite, the masses, and what have you, they all belong to the word people.
Okay. So, but you won't take offense when you're referred to as Your Excellency?
I really prefer to be called Malam Diko, or Dr. Diko, or Dukorada, anyone you call me. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so Malam Diko, let's talk about the elections in Katsina State. I mean, for an outsider, it would seem or it would look like a collection of events coincided to ease your path to victory. There were endorsements, a lot of them, as a matter of fact. I remember speaking with you during the ballot. There were also crises in the opposition and PDP, and then there was the incumbency factor. You know, but as the insider and the man directly impacted, what do you think were the key determinants that helped clinch your victory in the election?
I think largely what happened in Katsina was largely based on credibility and merit. I think the people of Katsina were able to choose their leaders based on the quality of their leader, and then based on what they have done before and based on their performance and the capacities they were before. And I think it is really people were able to come out and vote for their leaders based on merit and credibility. And I think that is what worked out in Katsina during the 2023 election.
So I talked about speaking with you during the campaigns, and I recall you laying out some of those big plans you said you have for Katsina people. I mean, which of them are looking more promising at this stage in terms of having the prospects, or rather prospects of quick wins and perhaps low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, I think the major challenge in Katsina is the security. And I believe that this is the first thing that we are supposed to give the much needed attention. And apart from the security, also we need to lay down the solid foundation for the development of our state. And you can only do that by enacting the appropriate laws and also by establishing the appropriate institutions to carry out your mandate, and as well as getting the skills and knowledge available and the capacity of the people to drive the policy. And I think it is very important also to look at those things. And this is what is going to be my major focus. And then with that, I know that the drive to the success is very promising at that level.
About how quickly do you think you can tackle insecurity in Katsina State? Is that a sector you envisage you might have a quick win? Because when we talk about quick win, I would think perhaps you could go for those projects or sector that could easily and very quickly register that look, government is doing something in the immediate on this, and maybe we begin to see changes immediately. Or you think that's possible with
you know, it all depends on how people perceive it. But what I intend to do when I get to office is to lay solid foundation. And that solid foundation is very critical to the success of any administration. When you rush into building schools, into building drainages, into going to build a hospital or what have you, you may end up failing. But the issue is build the necessary foundation for you to succeed. How do you build a foundation for your success? Getting the right people in the right place, getting the job done at the right time, and then trying to make sure that there is rules and regulations governing each and every person and governing each and every institution, and give a free hand for everybody to show his capabilities.
I mean, I hear you, and I mean, I'm hearing some of these promises you made during the campaigns, and you seem to be pushing down on them. So it infers some level of consistency. You know, one of the issues you also talked about, if I recall correctly, during the campaigns was how you intend to grow businesses. I know you are a specialist in creating and growing opportunities for small and medium enterprises. I mean, which may come quite, handy in growing the state's investment portfolio. But what is the plausible premise for attracting investors to Katsina State? And some of what you consider inherent potential for businesses to thrive in Katsina?
The only way you can call for investors is through opening the state. You open the state up, be as transparent as possible, put down the necessary things that you need to put down so that you attract investors, ease of doing business, trying to make sure that there is responsibility on the part of government in discharging its responsibility. Try to make sure that there is accountability in government, trying to make sure that right people are in right position. These are some of the things that will make investors to come to Katsina State, because they believe that if they come to Katsina, they will be protected. I would provide the kind of leadership that will make every person who wants to do in business, give him enabling protection to make life easy for anything. In fact, especially in terms of time frames on achieving things, because sometimes you see some people will come trying to invest their money, but it takes them about 3, 4, 5, 6 months before they get their papers approved. These are things that we are going to push aside. We are going to modernize the system. We are going to make it as digital as possible. Try to make transmitting of issues to governor or to commissioner or to anybody as easy as possible, so that we will have ease of doing business as quick as possible, and the timelines. Because when we give appointment to people, we give timelines. We don't allow people to treat files the way they want to treat them, but we give them timelines within which they must treat their files, within which that file must move from one office to another. We will not sit down in the office at the comfort of AC and just watch every civil servant to do whatever he wants to do at the time he wants to do it. We will not allow that.
So government will be responsive and government will be responsible.
Of course, yes.
You know, you talked about getting the right people in the right places. I mean, it throws up the issue of and very strongly too the issue of persons likely to make up or constitute your cabinet. In fact, as a matter of law now, you're mandated to constitute a cabinet 60 days after your inauguration. Where are you at the moment with these quite delicate function? Do you have your cabinet? Is your cabinet ready?
I want to assure the people of Katsina State that immediately we are sworn into office, I will make sure that first or second week the list of my commissioners will be with the State Assembly.
That's a promise.
Because I will not waste time. Why should I waste time? I've already made up my mind on people that will be in my cabinet.
Is my name there?
No, you are not. But I want to assure you that we have already started making effort to make our list ready before the inauguration. In fact, for you to aspire to be a governor, you must have some people in mind that you want to work with. Some people whom you believe they have the capacity to throw into the government, and it can help to activate the government. It can help to add value to the government. And you should know that I'm a politician.
Yes.
There must be some political consideration in appointments.
Yes.
There must be some balances in the different part of the states.
Going to ask that,
So,
yes.
but despite those balances, despite the political considerations, but there are key ministries and agencies that I will put my eyes on and make sure that merit take the day.
Give us an example.
Like you know, there are so many. Like this MSME that you have mentioned.
Yes.
I will make sure that I bring an expert who can add value into that. If you are talking about agriculture, we make sure that we bring somebody who has what it takes to develop agriculture in my state. I won't bring anybody for any reason who I know cannot add value in that ministry for the purpose of politics. Politics aside, we have played politics and aside, that is good. But we will give appointment in key ministries and agencies that will make sure that those people in that position can add value for the development of my state. But despite all those things, there are positions we give to politicians, and you can't take that away.
Okay.
Being a politician.
But ultimately, Doc, what you're saying is that capacity will trump every other consideration. It will trump nepotism. It will trump trying to appeal to even the political class. So even if, and let me just paint the scenario here, if you just forgive me, pardon me, and just play along. If you had, for instance, a very capable, aptly qualified, brother or say sister, who you know within you and who others know can deliver on a job, on an assignment, say maybe on SMEs or for commerce, for instance, would you appoint your relative?
When I said capacity, I'm not saying capacity for this or that. But what we are saying for a capacity of a person, a citizen of Katsina State. My blood brother is a citizen of Katsina State. So if he has something to add to the government, why can't he be on board? Okay. But I'm not saying I'm going to appoint my brother or my sister or my cousin or whatever. But you should not also count them out if they have the capacity to provide what it takes to develop Katsina State. Okay. That is fine.
Okay, so let's backtrack a bit and go back to an issue like education. And do help me clear up. I'd like for you to help me clear up. I don't know. I think it was most likely a misconception. It was there in the social media and was there also in some mainstream media about these veiled threats to sack unqualified teachers at the basic education level. How long do you intend to spend retraining, this set of teachers that we hear are unqualified, and then what happens while the training subsides? Will they still be in charge of their assigned subjects in the various schools?
I was a classroom teacher.
Yes.
And I know that the most cardinal thing in any educational development is the person impacting the knowledge to the student. Once the teacher does not have what it takes to pass that information or that knowledge to the student, that is where you are going to get it wrong. Being it that you have built upstairs, you have ACs in the class, you have computers and what have you, if you don't have a good teacher, it will not make the meaningful impact to the students. So what we intend to do is, and you just put yourself in that position, we, the elite, are taking our children to the private school. Why are we taking our children to the private school? Because there is a good management. They make sure that whoever they employ as the teacher must do what it takes. If not, they will sack you. But when you look at the salary of the teachers in the public schools, they are much higher and better than the salaries of the private teachers in the private schools. But they are impacting more in the educational development than those in the public school. Why? Because there was no good management. When you have good supervision, good management, people will take responsibility on their assignment. They will make sure that they do the right thing. While we were in secondary school and in primary school, there was effective supervision and inspection. And we have gotten what I was in public school all through my life. I've never been in private school for any reason, since my primary education up to my PhD level. But is that the same thing that we are seeing today? What we intend to do is we will train those teachers and retrain them and make sure that they are capable of impacting knowledge to the student. For those of them who don't have the capacity, we will try to see that if we can assign them to another responsibility and bring other people on board so that they can do that responsibility. You may wonder, you may go to local governments and see that you have over 1,000 employees in local government. Most of them are redundant. They are doing nothing. When you go to the state government ministries, you see a lot of workers, degree holders, who doesn't have any job to do in those ministries. Why can't you pick from those people who have the capacity to teach and transfer them to the primary or secondary school to impart knowledge to students? Okay. So we will try to do everything possible, because past and foremost is we are going to do public service administration reform. Okay. The public service administration reform is trying to place every worker in a right assignment that he can fit into, and also to place people on merit and on the assignment they can be able to deliver, not on godfatherism, not because they knew this person, not because they have a godfather, not because their father was the king or was a district head or is this and that, or your brother is a commissioner. We want to treat people in Katsina State with fairness and the sense of responsibility. People should be able to be where they belong without necessarily knowing anybody in the service.
Laudable. Fantastic. You know, Doc, you've thrown up a couple of issues. You've given me a few pointers to our next conversation, because we don't have time anymore. But, I mean, you've talked a lot, and you've talked about accountability in government, which I would have loved for us to talk a bit about the size of your planned government. I mean, but we can't do that. I mean, this public service administrative reform is something I would have loved for us to pursue, but, I mean, there's absolutely no time. But just before we move on to ticking the boxes, the segment you participated in last time you were on our program, the ballots, which, of course, I mean, spilled off to these. Let me just very quickly ask you before we move on, how you foresee your planned tuition-free school initiative helping to close lapses in enrollment exacerbated by cultural and social issues that affects issues of things like girl-child education in parts of Katsina State.
In fact, you know, I wouldn't want to jump the ship, okay. But what I intend to do is, you know, we have to get there so that we know the right statistics. Okay. We know the right amount to spend on every issue we thought of. But the most important thing is, you know, I want to make sure that people can be able to go to school, children can be able to go to school, whether your father is rich or poor. We want to open the system in such a way that there will be privilege for the people from the bottom of the pyramid to be able to show their capacity and capability. You know, there are so many children at the down level who have the capability and the brain to be what they should be in this country, but they don't have the opportunity. We want to give opportunity to every citizen of Katsina State so that they can develop themselves and help us to develop the state as well.
Your Excellency, I would like to, Malam Ragda, not Your Excellency, forgive me. I would like to move you along to our next segment, ticking the boxes. I know you've done these parts before, but there's a slight, you know, very slight change since the last time you ticked the boxes. Now the ticking options are basically timelines within which you think your administration can achieve some key targets. Let's just quickly bring that on the screen if my director would see very, very well. If you just look towards the screen to the right, I would ask that you tick the box. You begin from option number 1 and then you go down to option number 4. The 3 options available there for each of the targets are 100 days, 2 years, and 4 years. Do you want to begin perhaps with option 1, curb insecurity by 70% in Katsina State?
I hope to do that in 2 years.
In 2 years?
Yes.
So we go by 2 years.
Yes.
2 years it is. We'll go to target number 2. It says 75% boost in agricultural production. Which of the timelines there do you think you can achieve?
That one before the end of the tenure.
That's 4 years. It is. 4 years it is there for option number 2. Option number 3 says 50% improvement to universal healthcare delivery services, and that is statewide and not just within the metropolis. Do you think it's something you can achieve in 100 days, 2 years, 4 years?
No, I think before the end of the tenure.
That's another 4 years. 4 years it is. And then last there, at the bottom of the screen is 75% increase in basic education enrollment. I mean, it's something we just talked about now. I mean, achieving 75% appears to be a massive
Very
target.
massive.
So do you think that's
I'll go to the lax bus also.
4 years it is?
Yes.
4 years it is. Wonderful. So, I mean, you've seen how easy this
Because
one is.
I'm not too much comfortable with the 100 days in office because
I remember you saying
I
you
don't
do
like
100 days.
I don't want to do 100 days. I want to just try to do my 100 days by laying foundation for the take up of my government.
Okay, that makes some sense. I mean, that's it. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the program, the mandate. It's been exciting having you here. On behalf of the NTA, I'd like to wish you good luck as you begin to stir the affairs of Katsina. Of course, that would be after May 29 because there's a governor there right now. I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Umar Dikorada, Governor-elect of Katsina State. Thank you so much for coming on the mandate.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure.
And that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us. To join us same time tomorrow for yet another episode of the program. My name is Nnamdi Odipo. Bye for now.